Sox fan, this is your Sox Machine White Sox wake-up call for Wednesday, June 21st, 2023. I'm Josh Nelson. Prior to last night's game, the White Sox were sending more players to the injured list. This time, it was Garrett Crochet, who is suffering from left shoulder inflammation. If you recall in his last outing, Crochet was averaging 93.6 miles per hour with his fastball and even dropped down to 92 miles per hour. Something was clearly wrong, and sure enough, a few days later, the White Sox found inflammation in his throwing shoulder. He's out at least 15 days, and we'll see if he needs more time after that. Replacing Crochet, the bullpen's going to be Jimmy Lambert, who is coming off the injured list anyways. The White Sox also claimed right-hander Touki Toussaint from Cleveland. Toussaint in 2023 made one start in the majors as he went 3 2/3 innings, allowed 3 hits, 2 earned runs, walked 5, and struck out 2. We'll see how the White Sox use Toussaint in the near future, but he's out of options, so I imagine we'll find out soon enough. For the game, it was an excellent pitching matchup on paper. Dylan Cease for the White Sox against Nathan Eovaldi of the Texas Rangers. In 3 starts during June, Cease has gone 16 2/3 innings and only has a 2.16 ERA with 23 strikeouts to 8 walks. Unfortunately, the White Sox have only given Cease 8 runs of support in those 3 games. Meanwhile, Eovaldi entered the night with a 2.59 ERA for the season and a 0.98 whip. He also did have to face Luis Robert or Tim Anderson as neither were in the lineup to start the game. Prior to the game, 4 fans were injured in a hit-and-run accident outside of Guarantee Rate Field on 35th Avenue. According to WGN, 1 person was in critical condition while the other 3 were in serious to stable condition. The Chicago White Sox released a statement that the injured fans were treated at the scene, and Illinois State Police, along with Chicago Police, apprehended the suspect. In the first inning, Cease ran into some trouble when Adolis Garcia doubled to left field. With runners on second and third, Cease got Nathaniel Lowe to fly out to center field, ending that threat. Eovaldi wasn't as lucky. Andrew Vaughn singled to right field to set up Eloy Jimenez, and on a 94-mile-per-hour fastball, which that's a velocity dip for Eovaldi, Jimenez lifted the pitch into the wind stream that was blowing out to right center field and landed in the seats for a 2-run homer. That's home run number 9 for Jimenez in 2023, and the White Sox had a 2-0 lead. Texas finally got on the board in the 4th inning when Adolis Garcia tagged Cease again. This time, a solo home run. Garcia's 16th home run in 2023 made it a 2-1 game. Corey Seager would tie the game in the next inning. With runners on first and second, Seager hit a deep fly over Clint Frazier's head in center field for an RBI double. Cease would get out of that jam with the game tied. Being at the game, I would say that Luis Robert would have made that catch going into the wall, whereas Clint Frazier pretty much decided to hold up and field the bounce off the wall, which he did barehanded and made a nice throw in, but the difference is that if Robert catches that's a deep fly out. Texas doesn't score, the White Sox would have the lead. In the bottom half of that inning, the White Sox struck back. First, Elvis Andrus hit his 2nd home run of the season, a solo shot to give the White Sox a 3-2 lead. Then Zach Remillard reached on an infield single and motored to third base off of Andrew Benintendi's single to center field. It was Vaughn's turn, and he hit a high chopper towards third base. Rangers third baseman Josh Young only had a play at first base, as it was just too slow of a moving play, so Vaughn picked up a fielder's choice RBI to make it 4-2 for the White Sox. Cease would go 1-2-3 in the 6th inning, striking out the last batter that he faced, as Cease's final line was 6 innings, allowed 5 hits, 2 earned runs, walked 2, and he had 9 strikeouts. Cease generated 24 whiffs on 50 swings, as his slider was on point. Texas whiffed 19 times against Cease's slider on 28 swings, as Cease is definitely on a roll, and I think he's regaining his old self in the month of June, which is a great sign for the White Sox. Keenan Middleton was the first out of the bullpen, and what is not a great sign is that he got into hot water quickly after walking Marcus Semien. The bases were loaded for Corey Seager with nobody out. Seager hit a bullet grounder through the right side. That was a 2 RBI single, as that tied the game 4-4. With runners on the corners and nobody out, Pedro Grifol pulled Middleton for Gregory Santos. So one of the first clunker outings for Keenan Middleton for the White Sox in 2023. It didn't help Santos when Elvis Andrus tripped over himself on a grounder, resulting in a fielding error to load the bases. But Santos was able to get Adolis Garcia to hit a sharp bouncer at Jake Berger, who fielded the bouncer and made a good throw to home plate for a force out. So there you go. The White Sox can pull off this type of play. Then Santos struck out Nathaniel Lowe. With 2 outs, Santos got to a full count against Jonah Heim, and all Heim could muster was a weak grounder at Remillard, ending the threat. We're going to get back to that combination later in this recap. With 2 outs in the bottom half of that inning, Benintendi hit a shallow fly to center field. For some reason, Tavares called off Seager, but missed on his diving attempt. But Benintendi was only halfway to second base, so Texas had him beat at the bag. But a great swim slide by Benintendi got him safe at second base. All that effort, unfortunately, Benintendi was not knocked in, so the game remained tied. Santos got 2 outs in the 8th inning, but also allowed 2 singles. With Seager coming to bat, Grifol called for Aaron Bummer. Sure enough, Bummer lost the lefty-on-lefty battle again as Seager hit a 2-run double. So now Texas leads 6-4. But that lead wouldn't hold up. Luis Robert entered the game defensively, moving Clint Frazier from center field to right field, and I don't blame Pedro Grifol watching Clint Frazier try to play center field. He's not a center fielder. Robert walked, air horn. Yasmani Grandal singled, so with 1 out, the White Sox have a rally with runners on first and second. That's when Jose Rodriguez made his major league debut running for Grandal. After Tim Anderson pinched hit, and all he could muster was a grounder to second base, the White Sox had runners on second and third for Andrus. Now, Andrus would be one of the last guys you want batting this situation, but he did hit a homer earlier in the game, and he pulled through again as he hit a slow chopper, not great quality contact, but it was enough to get through the infield for a 2-run single. The game is tied again 6-6. Now let's talk about how the White Sox took the lead. Remember Jonah Heim, Zach Remillard, that combination. Well, we're back in this combination again. Zach Remillard singled to left field, and the Rangers left fielder Travis Janikowski, a defensive replacement, made a great throw to home plate that beat Elvis Andrus, who was sliding head first, but Jonah Heim's tag was there in time, and the White Sox challenged the play to see if Heim's tag on Andrus was late. It wasn't. However, Major League Baseball replay offices called Heim for interference as his foot was on the plate when he fielded the throw. Now, there was a path for Andrus to slide at home. According to Major League Baseball's ruling, the catcher's initial positioning was illegal, and his subsequent actions, while not in possession of the ball, hindered and impeded the runner's path to home plate. Again, catchers have to remain in front of home plate before they field the throw. If the throw is off, as long as both feet are in front of home plate, then they can move to field the throw. Watching on replay, Heim's foot is on home plate when he is fielding the throw. So thus, Major League Baseball called Heim for interference. Sure, your friends and family that are Texas Rangers fans, they're going to be really upset about that technicality. The White Sox got a lucky break, and Kendall Graveman closed up shop in the 9th inning, and that's how the White Sox win, is on catcher's interference, and the Rangers lose. Bruce Bochy got ejected for challenging a call that was on replay. He was not very happy during his post-game press conference. A lot of the media that covers the Texas Rangers are not happy about this particular game, but there are some happy fans on the South Side. Elvis Andrus went 2 for 4 in the night with his home run and 3 RBIs. Eloy Jimenez was 1 for 4 with the home run and 2 ribbies. Zach Remillard was 2 for 4, and Andrew Benintendi was 2 for 4. And hitting leadoff suits him so far, as he's been on a little bit of a roll at the plate. Corey Seager for the Texas Rangers had a big night. He went 3 for 4 with 5 RBIs. The come-from-behind victory for the White Sox pushes their record to 32-43. Tonight, it's another 7:10 p.m. Central Time game. It's Pride Night at the stadium as Michael Kopech takes the ball for the White Sox against lefty Martin Perez. After posting a 2.75 ERA in the month of May, Kopech has been better in June as he has just a 1.65 ERA in 3 starts this month. His last outing against Seattle was a bit wild as Kopech went 4 1/3 innings, allowed 6 hits, 1 earned run, but he walked 6. That's what got him in trouble, as he struck out 4 in 102 pitches. He'll try to be more effective tonight against his hometown team, the Texas Rangers. Perez hasn't been that sharp to start 2023 as he carries a 4.54 ERA with a 1.5 whip. It's been a seesaw of performances for Perez in his last 4 outings. He went 4 2/3 innings, allowed 7 hits, 6 earned runs against Detroit. But he followed that up going 7 innings, allowed 3 hits, just 1 run, not earned, against St. Louis. But then his next start against Tampa Bay, he allows 10 hits and 7 earned runs in 3 1/3 innings. But in his last start against Toronto, he went 6 innings, allowed just 3 hits and 2 earned runs. If that trend continues, that should mean a good offensive night for the White Sox, right? You can watch the game on NBC Sports Chicago or listen on the radio at ESPN 1000 AM. Down on the farm, the Charlotte Knights beat up the Louisville Bats, winning 11-5 last night. Evan Skoug hit a grand slam in the second inning. Carlos Perez hit a solo homer in the 6th inning. And Yolbert Sanchez went 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs to power the Knights' offense. Birmingham scored 5 runs early to support starter Cristian Mena, and the Barons would win by a final score of 5-2 against the Mississippi Braves. Mena on 76 pitches threw 43 strikes, and he went 5 innings, allowed 3 hits, 1 earned run, walked 3, and struck out 5. His season ERA drops to 5.34. Brian Ramos hit a 3-run homer to go 2 for 5 on the night. He's now hitting .250 with a 724 OPS in AA. The Winston-Salem Dash were up 5-4 after the 5th inning, but Greensboro scored 5 runs at the bottom of the 7th inning to win a shortened game 10-7 after 8 innings. Andy Atwood had a night for the Dash, going 4 for 5 with 4 RBIs. Cabrera Weaver hit his 4th home run of the season. Starting pitcher Jonathan Cannon went 5 2/3 innings, but he allowed 8 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned. But the good news is that he had 10 strikeouts to 1 walk. His season ERA is now 3.27. Kannapolis was rained out. Scores around Major League Baseball. The Cincinnati Reds have now won 10 straight games. They held off a late rally from the Colorado Rockies to win 8-6. The Reds are now 39-35. That's the type of streak the White Sox need to go on. The Milwaukee Brewers scored 4 runs at the bottom of the 7th inning to come from behind, beating the Arizona Diamondbacks 7-5. The Houston Astros, thanks to another wonderful start from their ace, Framber Valdez, beat the New York Mets 4-2. The Astros are 40-34, while the Mets are now 34-39. I cannot imagine how much heat that coaching staff will be under in July if things don't turn around quick in Queens. Behind Garrett Cole, the Yankees clipped the Seattle Mariners 3-1. Cole is now 8-1 on the season with a 2.64 ERA. The St. Louis Cardinals beat up the Washington Nationals 9-3. Marcus Stroman continues to throw gems as the Chicago Cubs blank the Pittsburgh Pirates 4-0. The Cubbies are 35-38 and leap the Pirates in the National League Central standings. The Toronto Blue Jays blanked the Miami Marlins 2-0. Atlanta's ace, Spencer Strider, earned his 8th win of the 2023 season as the Atlanta Braves score 4 runs late to beat the Philadelphia Phillies 4-2. The Baltimore Orioles scored 6 runs in the first 2 innings against Tampa Bay, but they had to sweat it out as the Rays rallied but ultimately fell short with the Orioles winning 8-6. Scores around the American League Central. The Boston Red Sox are beating up on the Minnesota Twins this week. The Red Sox scored 10 runs on their way to win 10-4. It took extra innings, but the Cleveland Guardians walk off the Oakland A's 3-2 in 10 innings. And Kansas City Royals pitching held Detroit's bats to just 2 hits as the Royals won 1-0. So your updated American League Central standings, and try to hold your laughter. Leading the division is the Minnesota Twins with a 36-38 record. They have lost 3 straight games. The Cleveland Guardians are in second place with a 34-38 record. They are now 1 game back of the Twins in the standings. The Detroit Tigers are 31-41. Even though they're 10 games below 500, they're just 4 games back of the Minnesota Twins. And there's the White Sox at 32-43. They're a half game back of Detroit. And with their win against the Texas Rangers, they're now 4.5 games back of Minnesota. And the Kansas City Royals are now 20-53 on the season. Somehow they are 20 games back of the wild card. They are 15.5 games back of the American League Central. That will do it for this White Sox wake-up call. You can follow us on Twitter. We're at Sox Machine. You can follow me on Twitter at SoxMachine_Josh. Subscribe to the Sox Machine podcast wherever you listen to podcasts such as Spotify and Apple Music. We also upload podcast episodes into our YouTube channel, which please subscribe to at youtube.com/SoxMachine. If you enjoy our work and want more, subscribe to our Patreon to receive exclusive content and ad-free versions of the website and podcasts. Monthly plans start at $2, or you can save with an annual subscription. Again, you can sign up at patreon.com/SoxMachine. The White Sox Wake Up Call is a production of SoxMachine.com, your home for all things Chicago White Sox baseball, and part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I'm Josh Nelson. Thanks for listening.